Today's declaration is, I am unashamed. This one is this girl dancing naked because it says in Genesis 2:25, Adam and Eve were naked and unashamed. And yet when they sinned and became aware of their nakedness, they were aware of their shame and they covered up with fig leaves. And shame in us is that same hiding. And we don't often use fig leaves these days to cover our shame, but we use all sorts of other things, whether it be our success, our job title, our appearance, our reputation, how much people love us. All of these things, we use so many different comforts to cover our shame, those deep feelings of inadequacy and the deep feelings of, if people really knew who I was, they wouldn't love me. And that is what shame does. Shame keeps you hidden and in the darkness, thinking that the real you is unlovable, and therefore don't let anyone see the real you. You've got to keep the masks up and the coverings up. And I did that for many, many years. I had deep shame going on. I was struggling with eating disorders, and I thought, if anyone actually knew what I'm doing in private, they would be disgusted by me. So I kept it behind the scenes, and the Thea on the facade was very different to the Thea behind the scenes. And shame was just festered and festered and festered and kept me locked in bondage and in hiding and in the hopelessness. And one of the most powerful ways to break shame is to bring the most shameful things into the light, because in the light, darkness loses its power. So I encourage you, where there are things that you think, if anybody really knew this about me, find a safe place, some friends who you trust, who can love you in the Lord, where you can safely begin to bring the darkest things into the light and watch them lose their power, because it is so freeing to live unashamed and to let God's love into those deep places of shame and let him heal and transform you. I'm going to leave you with some beautiful scriptures. Psalm 34, 4-5. I sought the Lord and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. I pray this week that you know what it is to have shame lifted off and feel your face become radiant and free. Isaiah 61:7. Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion. And instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. Many of us have experienced shaming in the past, where people have shamed. You idiot, you loser, you have maybe expressed something, or you've risked something, or in class you put up your hand and you tried to give an answer and you got it wrong, and people have laughed and they've mocked and they've shamed you. And maybe you have taken on those layers of shame and you're like, I'll never do that again. I never want to be hurt in that way again. I'm never going to expose myself in that way again for fear of being hurt. And Isaiah 61:7 talks about God's recompense for that shame, that your shame will instead be turned into a double portion of honor. And so I bless you with that as well, with freedom this week, where in the past you have been shamed, and the Lord wants to set you free from that shame and bring healing and bring transformation and bring honor in that place. So bless you to be free from shame.